see. Perfect. Do we want to go to the next slide really quick? I think I can go ahead and start kicking us off. For those that don't know me, my name is Melissa Carpenter. I'm a director with Women Who Code Richmond. Outside of Women Who Code, I'm a master software engineer with Capital One. So I lead a team of engineers. We work on the main online servicing application for web. So any questions about engineering at Capital One, happy to field some of those. And we can go to the next one if you don't mind. Our agenda for today, we're just going to do a quick welcome from me and then jump straight into the Agile event. I think there's some great resources in here as well, so we'll share those out to you all. We can go to the next one if you want. Awesome. Okay, so we love to start all of our events with our mission and our vision. And as you can see here, our mission is to inspire women to excel in technology careers. And I really like to kind of extend that out to say that we're really trying to support women to stay in technology careers as well. And if you want to go to the next one, can do our vision. Our vision is just a world where a diverse group of women are represented across a variety of technical roles. So it's not just engineers. We're here to support folks that are in the Agile space, obviously, and the product space, design, what have you, like any tech adjacent roles. And when we're thinking about our events and kind of thinking through how we might best support our community here in Richmond and across Women Who Code globally, the mission and our vision are really what we like to true back to kind of center our events around those things. So it's really about supporting women in technical roles and kind of giving you guys the support you need to do what you like to in your role. If you go to the next one. So we have a pretty straightforward code of conduct for Women Who Code. It's simply that we just don't tolerate any harassment of any kind. We're really proud of this space. It's a very inclusive, empowering space. We like to bring folks in to just lift them up and kind of brag on them. And we are so thrilled to welcome anyone who is willing to follow our code of conduct to our events and to kind of participate and learn alongside of us. And so if you have any questions or anything about the code of conduct, feel free to reach out to me directly. There's also like a full longer version online at womenwhocode.com that I welcome anybody to check out if you'd like to. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. We can, I think the next one actually is just a quick welcome to our speakers for tonight. We are so thrilled. This is the 4th Agile event that we've had this year. And they have all been just awesome events. We're so thrilled to have you guys tonight. Did you want to give like a quick intro on who you are and what you work on before we jump into the event?
Definitely. Thank you so much for that, Melissa. So I'll start with a quick journey of how I got to here, which is being a director of software engineering and talk at Capital One. So my journey is traditional to any software engineer. I started as a developer, moved on to architecture. From there, moved on to product program development. And the last entire decade, I've been building and executing on data platforms. So I built Best Buy's big data platform. I was part of the team that was working on moving their recommendation engine from AWS back on-prem. And then from there, I kind of moved on to building the enterprise data platform for CBRE. CBRE is the world's largest commercial real estate company. So one of the things that we were trying to do was combine all of the disparate data systems into an enterprise data platform so that we can collate all the data and learn actionable insights from it. Through that, I actually work with a lot of their Fortune 500 customers to deliver those analytics back to our global workplace solution customers. And so I worked with, be it Uber, Google, Facebook, you name it, we work with them to kind of provide them not just global workplace services, but also analytics on the data that we were collecting with them. From there, I know I've been in the app space. I got onto the Technology Operations Center at Capital One to bring that software engineering focus to the operations space. And I'll talk a little bit about what we do here at Capital One when we talk about talk and what our purpose is. With that, I'll just give. I stay in Plano, Texas, although I know there's a Richmond chapter, but we were so excited to kind of provide this automation and operation space view to you guys that we decided to kind of join you all here. And I live with my husband and dog that I mentioned earlier that I cannot live without. And you might see her because she's right now, nudging me to kind of pet her. So she might just come up. So don't mind her. And I'm an avid sci-fi book reader. So if you have any sci-fi books that you want recommendations on, or you want to discuss any of even if you want to discuss a new Dune movie, I'm all for it. Anytime, just message me and I'll do that for you. With that, I'll hand it over to Nikitha.
Hey, thank you, Prerna. Hi, everyone. I'm Nikitha Kondapally, and I'm currently a senior manager in the Technology Operations Command Center. This is an enterprise team that is dedicated to keep the lights on for every application within Capital One, whether it's internal or external facing applications. It's been 10 years with Capital One. I really have been a great journey where I started off in the auto finance space within the Capital One as an .NET developer, and then ventured into the operation space where I am currently. And the unique, I bring in the engineering into the operations by building solutions that automate the work. And I'm really excited to showcase that work that we've been doing in our space that has not just improved but has been developed a growth mindset to the associates here in our talk. I'm really excited. Like Prerna said, I'm based out of Plano. I've been one of the first hires for the talk in Plano. Initially, it was all Richmond team, but then when they decided to have a resiliency by building a talk, the command center in Plano, I was one of those first hires, and it's been a great journey the last 5 years. So for me, I live with my husband, who is also a Capital One. So we are a Capital One family, and two girls. One is a middle schooler, just a teenager, trying to learn the teenage how to handle a teenager is a book I need right now to read. And other than that, I have an elementary kid, second grader, who just went back to school after being a virtual for a year and a half. So I just get to hear a lot of stories about her school. Those are the things that keeps me busy off work right now. Yeah.
You should hear a kid, by the way. Everything that we do, since we are in remote, she can actually iterate that back to us. Basically, she's got amazing memory, and I feel like she's gonna progress much faster than anybody else because she already knows how to handle the situation before anybody.
She can definitely be hired by Capital One without having to go through any interviews because she'll know everything.
Well, she does have aspirations to be a CEO, so we are all for it.
Yeah.
We are grooming and
Exactly.
mentoring her to do that.
Yeah, that's what she says. You can work for me, is what she said. I'm like, okay, thank you for the offer. Yeah.
And thank you both, Nikitha and Prerna, for presenting today. Because today is really all about the Agile application, right? You're going to hear them talk about DevOps principles and how that's really at scale now. They started with a small thought process and how they scaled that. So I really appreciate both of you coming today.
Thank you, Shaminaz.
Shaminaz. All right. So I did mention that we're going to talk about a primary purpose. So when we talk about Technology Operations Center, our mission is our aspiration is to keep Capital One reliable by driving its resilience. So when I talk about driving its resilience, is to make sure that we are available 24/7 for all of our customers. So our team of world-class technologists deliver real-time autonomous self-healing services that prevent or minimize disruptions all the time, everywhere. The whole point of this is to make sure that we as Capital One are reliable for all of our customers and they can make sure that they have access to those services. With that, we have quite a few teams working together to make that happen. It's not a one team effort. It's like a combined, I would say it takes a village to make this happen. Not just our team, but our entire family at Capital One to make this happen. So we have a major incident management group, problem management group, change management group, our app support team, our application delivery teams, our automation delivery teams, and resiliency and recovery teams. All of these play very critical roles in our team. The major incident management, Nikitha mentioned the command center. They are, if there is a major incident at Capital One, they are the ones who manage those incidents. You'll hear them on those calls right there. If you have any problems to do the postmortems once those incidents occur, the problem management team is the one who would be managing that and making sure we are taking the right actions to resolve it or remediate it for the next time around. Any of the changes that happen at Capital One that's reviewed, that go through the change management team. Our operation application support team, we go by you build it, you own it model. But if an application has enterprise-wide criticality, we do have application support teams that handle most of our, and we'll go over the different LOBs and business segments that we have in the next slide. But we do support them to make sure that they have the right support that they need, as well as our systems are reliable for our customers. We also, with that, build resiliency solutions. So we have an application delivery team that's dedicated just for that, to build those resiliency solutions, be it in incident management, be it to manage, see all the changes in there, analyze our risk, analyze our change management operations, all of it. So we build all those solutions for our teams to be functioning productively. Same with the automation delivery, and that is something that we're going to talk a little bit more in detail in the next few slides. This is where we focus our process improvements, where we improve our manual effort and automate it so that we are focusing on the right problems. We are not focusing on, we are not spending time in doing the manual steps, but we are focusing on the actual issue that we need to resolve. So that's the whole purpose of the automation delivery. Then we have the resiliency and recovery team. That team is kind of running all the events, chaos across Capital One. So think about production disruptions to make sure that we are verifying our resiliency for all of the applications across the enterprise. So in short, that's the quick overview of what TALK does at Capital One and what our purpose over here is. Nikki, would you mind going to the next slide? All right. Let me kind of give you a little bit of a business overview of Capital One. So we talked about how our application support team has, we have support pods in there that support all of our business segments. When you think about Capital One is a financial services team. And when you think about that, the first thing that clicks is, oh, it's a consumer bank. But we also have all of these different other business segments, like be it card, we are very, there are a lot of card options that if you kind of take a look at it, we are powered by the data analytics to provide that card business back to our customers. The commercial bank, so be it for your, the small business and commercial bank that we are doing across Capital One, we provide that. And then we have the checking and savings, auto, business, and all of the capital markets and corporate card depository service for all the commercial bank solution. So we have all of these businesses that require our support. So when you think about what we are doing, we are horizontal across the board. Nikki, do you want to kind of go to the next slide? Okay. I talked a lot about the business segments. I talked a lot about TALK. So we have, this is a very small slice of the portfolio. So we manage 24/7. Nikki talked about how we built in resiliency even in our workforce to have it in multiple locations, so that if, like we talked about the weather in Dallas when we were hit with the winter storm and we didn't have resources at the time to support our teams, but we had people in our Richmond area that could do that. So we have built in even the resiliency in our workforce along with our application. So what we do is we are the ones that support the applications to be always on in Capital One. There are thousands plus real-time customer transaction that we monitor. There are 10,000 plus alerts that we kind of get for that operation. And then with our data platform, we are getting multiple of batch jobs from across the enterprise. So with that, we have multiple horizontal platforms. So think about getting the data from external vendors, getting the data from our customers themselves, the monitoring data that we are collecting, the batch platforms that run to collect all this data, even the transfer of data across the teams. So all of these generate alerts when that happens. And that's what our support teams manage. So every day, every month, we are getting like 5,000 plus alerts that we have to track. and we have to see, okay, which one of this is critical that we have to act on. And I talked about the business segments over here, the card, bank, auto. We also support the regulatory and the branded partners that we connect with at Capital One. So we support all of them across the board. And there's a tiny little slice of our portfolio. We're talking about one of the application support teams over here. Nikki, you want to go to the next slide? Okay. I mentioned quite a bit about our, the number of alerts that we're getting. And, with what I mentioned, it's a high volume of alerts that we're getting from all of these systems. So there are repetitive tasks that our support team needs to do. For example, if we get an alert, we have to acknowledge the alert, look at what the issue is. If we have resolved the issue, go hit on resolve the alert. If we have to reach out to another team, okay, then we have to message them or email them. Okay, this is the issue. Now let's kind of do the next step. So there are a lot of repetitive manual tasks that get generated because of the support that we are providing. So with that, if you think about it, we need to scale it. We need to scale that operation so that we are not kind of delayed in responding, and we are not missing out on actually critical alerts that happen that may impact our business. So this manual process would kind of end up with delays, or we are missing out on critical ones, or the customers, our stakeholders are not receiving that information in time that they can act on it and mitigate any critical issues from happening. So that is what our observation was, which kind of led us to build that scaling in place. Nikitha, you want to get to next one? Okay. So with that observation, we all of our support teams were working in silos to build that automation in place. Like, okay, let's kind of let's automate this task that we are doing manually in silos. So one of the things that we talked about is, okay, we need to resolve it from an enterprise perspective. We are the leaders at the enterprise perspective to make this automation work. And our core, with that, we kind of build a program that we could make that happen for people to come in to our teams with their ideas to talk about, hey, these are the situations we are seeing. This is the manual task that I'm spending thousands and thousands of hours in, and I'm not able to kind of work through it. What can I do to make that automated so that I am focusing on the right problem versus focusing on all of these manual tasks that are in? So we started talking through with our teams on, okay, what can we do to scale this? We can't work in silos. We can't work on one use case basis. We need to think about it strategically. We came up with our core principles that would make this work and scale for our enterprise, to have one single portfolio where we have all of our solutions that we've built and what we plan to build in there, so that people can visualize it and see that, okay, this has already been addressed, or somebody has already built this, so I can leverage that rather than starting from scratch. And you're also creating a forum where you're bringing people in to talk about their experiences. So it's like an empathy session that I'm seeing this. I'm not, like I would love to see, like, I'll give you an example. Recently, we had a team come in and saying that I'm creating this report, doing all of this manual analysis. All I want to do is get alerted as soon as this matches these rules. It's a simple problem if you think about it, but by getting that forum, they are able to voice their problems because they don't have the resources to make that happen. But with that forum, they can voice their problem. We can identify that this can be made more efficient, and then we can get the right resources to start building on it. And of course, with this program, one of our key things was, let's kind of adopt the best practices in our engineering, so that we make sure that this is, our speed to market has increased because we are adopting this best practice, and we're learning, continuously evolving over time, the way we kind of build our solutions. All of this, and Nikki kind of mentioned it earlier, the growth mindset. We wanted to make sure that our team is thinking through being innovators and problem solvers versus just tactically handling these problems. So that was one of the key things that we wanted to stress upon when we got the program into Capital One. With that, I'm going to hand this off to Nikitha, who's going to talk you through how we actually implemented that scaling in our team and made it happen.
Thank you, Prerna. And so as Prerna mentioned to you that, we had this problem where repetitive tasks were getting done by the team, and we had a need for automating it, for building the automation. Now we cannot just go solve one, because there are many problems. And what we wanted to do is to do it in a scalable way. That way the solutions that we build are scalable and can solve many problems, not just one at a time. And for that, we needed a program. And for the program, you need, like Prerna mentioned, we need a village. We needed multiple teams and multiple skill sets and backgrounds and diverse teams to come together, because this is about not just identifying the problems, but building a scalable solutions for these problems. And so we started off with building a program team. And the program team is a combination here in the blue. The program team is a combination of the leads from each pod or each team within the talk. Now we want to make sure that every team had a representation in this program team, because they are the ones. And then we wanted to have product owners, the technical leads, agile leads, everyone come together with their experience and build this program together. Then we had what is called the pod project team. Now within the pod, you hear us saying pod, these are nothing but teams that are dedicated for each lines of business within the talk. And so we have bank pod, card pod. So these are nothing but the teams that are dedicated for bank LOB, card LOB applications. And so what we did is, like, the problem happens close to them. They are the ones who are working on these. They are the firefighters who are ensuring that the application is available and up and running at any given time. So they are the ones who know the problem. Sometimes they can solve it themselves. And that's what we have, the project teams or the engineers within that. But what we wanted to do is, when they're solving a problem, they put the hat of how can this be adapted by another team, whether within the talk or outside the talk. And so what we did is brought this project team together from each pod or each team, come to us and work with us to build a scalable solution, not just a solution to a problem that they see, but a scalable solution. And the third is the foundation team. The foundation team is like a backbone where these are all engineers who are experts in their space, who have the technical skills to build these solutions, but they would need to work with the program team and the pod team to understand the problem. Because what they know is to build state-of-the-art solutions, but what they don't know is what really are they trying to solve from the requirements point of view, from the usability and the adaptability. And so that's why they're bringing all three teams together. That's how we complemented and know, yes, we are enabling that expandability that we are looking for from this program. And there's a reason behind why we use the circles instead of going with anything, because you can see there's an overlap between all the three. And someone like me and Prerna belong into that space where we are working with all the three teams. We are part somehow the other way related and have that working relationship with all the three pods and making this happen. And that's why I wanted to exemplify through the circles, is saying there is an overlap, and that overlap is intentional, because that is how we bring the synergies together in each team. So as you can see, there's a different responsibilities, and so that's how talk Capital One is, how we bring in different skill sets together to solve a big problem. Okay. Now, how do we do automations? Once we have this team and we have it, the need is for the ideas, right? The ideas are the problems, or the opportunities that everyone sees in their day-to-day. Sometimes you tend to accept. When you are dealing with hundreds of alerts, you tend to accept them. You think that is normal. That is part of my job. I'm paid to keep these, to react to these alerts. But what we are doing with this is saying, no, bring the problem to the table. And that's what ideation sessions are. We have a weekly office hours where we just open up. Either they could submit an idea ahead of time, or they can just come and start talking about a problem. You know what, I do this again and again. Can we solve this? And that's when we all get together and say, let's ideate and let's try to find a solution for it. And that's what the regular cadence that we have for the ideation sessions. Once the idea is ideated or it's brought to the table and evaluated, we do what is called as intake, and where we are performing gathering all the requirements or the understanding of it, which helps us to do what is the next step is the evaluation. Like, what's the business value? Why are we doing this? Who are our stakeholders? Who are our customers? What is the benefit out of this? What is the financial cost associated with this? What kind of challenges we can run into? Is this what is the urgency, the impact? So all that is part of the evaluation that we do. And once we have a good understanding of where this idea stands in part of the evaluation and business impact, we do what is called prioritization. This is like against the other ideas that were submitted. Where does it fall? Do we do this in this quarter? Do we put it to next quarter? All that discussion happens in the prioritization. And once this prioritization is completed and we know this is the item, this is the idea that we want to pursue, then we move it into what is called the implementation phase. This is where the engineers come in, the foundation team and the pod project teams come together and start building a design, architecturing, going through the architecture and having the development, whether it's in, whatever. We are, as you know, Capital One is heavy on AWS, and we do a lot of serverless development. And so we'll try to use the latest and the greatest technologies available to build these solutions in that implementation phase. And then we go into the release, which is we are getting this ready for our customers, put it into production, but also working towards enhancing it, because that's just the first step towards provide the solution that we built, and we continue to enhance it and improve it with a continuous growth improvements mindset. So that's the life cycle of an automation. Starts with an idea and goes into a full-fledged solution. Now, I want to take in a little more deeper is, you've heard about the problems, you heard about the process. Now, what kind of solutions did we develop? And we wanted to showcase this for you. The type of automations that we've done and has been very beneficial for us in our space is auto ticketing. Now, if you have seen as a production support, everything that we do needs a ticket, because especially we are in a financial institute, heavily driven by the regulatory and compliance. And so every work that we do in production has to have an entry, and that is a ticket, a ServiceNow ticket that we need to create. And so this is a mandatory task that every time an alert comes, a system generates an alert. Before we can do anything to remediate it, we have to create a ticket. And it usually takes 3 to 5 minutes for a human to do it. And that's what we focused on. If we can eliminate those kind of mandatory steps by automating it, that itself is a big saving. And that's how we started our journey of auto ticketing, auto notifications. Now, which is if a ticket comes in and I start working on it, I want to notify my application team, because they are in turn the owners of that application. I'm the gatekeeper, I'm the firefighter for them. So my team is what sends out an email notifying the upstream, downstream teams about the ticket that they're working on. And that is also automated by our system, by our automation. Auto reporting, it could be our status reports that we send out. Hey, everything is green, everything is not green, something is failing. All these are something that we compose the data, we manipulate it, and we send out the reports. Instead of that, we have everything done by the system now. The system can run those scheduled analysis, does the data manipulation, and then sends out the reports on a given expected timeline. And then the last is, and very important, is the self-healing. Now think about something, most of the time, if something fails, take for your laptop stops working. First thing that they ask you to do is restart it, right? Close it, restart it. And that's basically the system, something doesn't work, shut it off, on it back. So similarly, in the systems, we do the same. The first step to triage anything is to restart. So why not do that as automated? As soon as an alert generates, instead of a human trying to do it, the system just sees that, okay, let me restart this. And then the checklist, if it can restart it and things are back to normal, then it closes the ticket. It says, I did it and it's done, everything great. If it doesn't, then it sends a second alert, which the humans get it. And that's how we are like, these are the 4 steps that happens every day. It's like those mundane tasks, but very critical. They are mundane, they're repetitive, but they're so crucial for as a first responder. So we were able to automate all these steps that saved us a lot of time. So going a little more.
Say that,
yeah.
Sorry, Nikki, before you go ahead.
No.
I would say that from the self-healing, the example that we talked about, it's applicable to our jobs that can be, so that's an example the self-healing is not just tied to restarting, but more we are adding in machine learning and automation from there to learn about an application behavior and see whether, okay, if this would require an auto failover, we talked about AWS environment. If this requires an auto failover, how can we achieve that? How can we self-heal that application to fail over to a different region, to a different AZ, whichever way we want to, can it be done? And can we kind of move on and have that application highly available? And when we are talking about the types of automation, every single thing that Nikki mentioned, it may seem a small change in the big scheme of things, but multiply that by the number of alerts that you get. So if you're getting 5,000 alerts over a month that require you to create tickets, require you to reports that run every day, the notifications that are sent like multiple times a day to app teams, or the batch jobs are failing, say, in hundreds in a single day, that over time would make it significant enough that you need that to be solved rather than somebody manually taking those steps. And Nikki is going to go over one of those simple examples that actually helped us quite a bit. And it's just one of the examples that we built through this program.
Can I do it?
Sorry. Yeah, so this is the auto notification. Yeah, you have my guest. Yeah, go ahead. The time for homework.
We talked about how she wants to be CEO, right?
Yeah, now it's her time for check my homework. I'm like, I'm busy. Anyway, so going back to the notification example, we spoke about notifications, we spoke about reports and ticketing. So let me deep dive into the notification example that we have here. So whenever, like Arrow, this is our scheduler. It's a batch scheduler. That's where all our batch jobs, we configure our batch jobs to run as per the schedule that we update in Arrow. So this is an enterprise vendor supported tool that Capital One works with for all our batch processes. Now, if any of these batches, there are thousands of batches that run behind the scene to ensure that the data movement happens in Capital One. And so if any of these jobs fail, the first thing that it does is trigger an alert. And for the alert, Capital One uses what is called a PagerDuty. That's an application that is receives all the alerts from any application. And in this case, it is from Arrow, which is our batch scheduler. The alert comes to the PagerDuty, and these PagerDuty alerts are directed to our team, my team, which is the talk. And being a first responder, we get the alert. It could be 2 a.m. or it could be 5 a.m. But we are the ones who are getting this alert round the clock. Now, and then these are the series of manual steps that my team has to take. First, before they could do anything, they go to the Arrow, check the logs to understand what is the failure, which job failed, why it failed, what does the log say, which step did it fail. Based on what they see in the logs, now they have a reference guide, what we call as a playbook or a run book, that is either in a Google Sheet or a Google Doc that tells them exactly what to do with that error. Because now you're talking about multiple shifts. It's not a muscle memory. It has to be documented somewhere. And that's what these Google Sheets are for. Once they know what steps they need to take before performing any step, like I mentioned, we compliant is to create a ticket for it. And so they go to ServiceNow, the ServiceNow create a ticket, and then they perform the action and send out the email to the respective teams, whether it's the upstream or the downstream, the application team, whoever needs to be informed, they do all that. So these are the steps that they follow literally for every alert that comes from Arrow. So what did we do? We took the human out of that. And what we did is we developed an automation framework, which is here we call it as SmartOps. This is internally built within Talk. It's our, that allows us to build the automations for these kind of tasks. So it's a very rule-based engine that tells you, it's more like if and else, where it tells you if this error comes, then go do this, else do this. So those are the command steps, that it's a rule-based and it gives you step-by-step approach of how to react to that alert. And that's what SmartOps allows. So instead of a human, SmartOps does exactly the same. As soon as an alert comes, it goes, checks the logs, sees what the error is. Then instead of referring to a Google Sheet or a Google, what we did is we transformed all that into a database. And in this case, we used a DynamoDB which is again serverless, going by what Capital One believes in and building the serverless technologies. And so we use DynamoDB, and the DynamoDB tells exactly what needs to be done for that particular error. And then all that action, then the SmartOps creates the ticket, performs the action, and then sends out the email. Everything is done just by simple code, which executes within few seconds. And it integrates with all of these external applications, whether it's ServiceNow, Gmail, or Arrow, through all API calls, and then integrates and performs the task. And finally, once it's completed, what we built is called a dashboard. Now we have to brag about the savings that we are doing, right? I mean, we want to show our leadership where we are and also showcase the value that we're bringing in. And so what we have done is build a dashboard called Big Save. This demo, every execution, we log the minutes that we are saving from every execution in this Big Save. So that's how we demonstrate the savings. So as you can see, the operations which used to take 7 minutes for a human is now happens within 1 second, which is equivalent to almost 175 hours per month. This is just for this scenario, the notification. I'm talking about notification, the time it takes for a human to see an alert, compose an email, and send it out while performing the other task. And now, initially, I mean, if you look at it, hundreds of alerts come together. Sometimes, something happens, some critical system is broken, it can generate hundreds of alerts in a given time. And for a human, for it, maybe the first alert, they'll get it in 5 minutes. But if they get to the 50th alert, it can take almost an hour, because now you can, and that 1 hour is now converted into 12 minutes per alert. And this is not even with the human. That 60 minutes used to be human hours. Now 12 minutes of system hours, it is system minutes. So those are and email, whether it's latency, and the best thing is we're eliminating the human errors. I mean, what it could happen if human was doing it, there's a tendency of errors, and we're eliminating that by removing the manual intervention. So these are some of the savings that you can see just by automating the notification and the ticketing process that we have in our day-to-day business operations. So I'll stop here, and Prerna, if you want to add in anything.
Yeah. One of the things I did want to highlight, I know kind of Nikita mentioned that this is just one of the use cases that we automated, and it kind of provided us 175 hours to actually focus on the actual problems versus actually doing the manual steps that we were doing before. And the time to resolve, all that kind of reduced to 12 minutes. There is a reason why it kind of went down just 12 minutes, even though it kind of is taking 1 second to execute this, because we put in the human intelligence that wait to make sure that this is actually reoccurring. It's not reoccurring. Have that human intelligence check before you kind of go back and resolve this this particular alert incident. The other thing that we observed with all of the automations that we put in, this is just one of the things, right? So all of the automation that we put in, the customer satisfaction with that kind of increase. As we mentioned that we are the gatekeepers, we do believe in, you build it, you own it model in Capital One. So a lot of this, the accountability of the application goes to the application team. So their satisfaction kind of increased with just building this in, because now they are relying on an automation. They're relying on that the intelligence that we built in. They know there isn't, it's not on the discretion of the support team to act on it. And it's not like it's getting delayed because there are 5,000 other alerts happening at the same time. So you don't know when the actual issue should be acted on. So all of that kind of increased our customer satisfaction. So with just this one example, it was, positive reinforcement that to get those ideas in, to build that forum for people to come in and provide their experiences, and we can build on top of those experiences and make it better for our teams, not just from operations perspective, but also from thinking as problem solvers versus tactically just doing click here and click there. So there were a lot of benefits that we got, and Nikita touched upon it. Big Save, we always want to kind of brag about our achievement. So Big Save is another tool that we built to showcase all the savings we are doing through automation across the board. And it does help reinforce it across not just within our team, also, you can share with the other teams that we are building these solutions for, that this is a saving, we got these savings, now let's kind of work on the actual solutioning of other important problems that we can solve at the same time. I'm going to take a pause over here, and if there are any questions, we would love to answer them.
Actually, I have a question, but it goes kind of way back to the beginning.
Back.
Like to the team, like how did you put the team into the pod? Back to the pod. That's not level with reading. Sorry. Yeah. So how did you put this structure together? Did it take time for you to develop this over time, or that's my question?
So that's a really good question, and I would definitely say that when we started with this, we had, as I mentioned, we were doing this in silos. So we had skill set, but we had skill set in a very small space. Like we had a couple of people in a team doing this, and across the board. What we wanted to do was have a steering committee or a program team that could guide how we can scale this across the board. So that's how the program team came into place. But we also saw a gap where, okay, we have these skill set, but in very, like we have a couple of people in one team, we have one person in another team. Doesn't make sense that we just rely on the project team to make this happen. If we go back to the core principle, one of the things that we wanted to do is adopt the best practices and make sure that we are building that growth mindset. So how do we encourage that? We wanted to encourage that by building the standards, building out how things should be built. Nikitha mentioned the serverless technology. That's one of the best practices from our perspective. We want to make sure that's being applied. We also want to kind of make sure that we have everything that we need to, the solutions that we're building are as reliable as the systems that we are aspiring to keep reliable at Capital One. So how do we make that happen? So all of that came to that we needed a dedicated team, not just to build these solutions that nobody else has the time or resources to build, but also be those consultants for all the other teams to show them how to get it done, advise them on the standards, advise them on the kind of solution they can build, advise them on, okay, once you have it built, these are things that you should be doing to keep it resilient across Capital One, and then market it out. So all of that was then the thing that the responsibility of the foundation team that you would see over here. Nikitha, you want to add to that? Please do.
Yeah, I mean, Prerna, you covered it. It's about what happened in a silo. It used to be like every pod, like I mentioned, the project team, there were one or two resources that were able to solve the problems that happened in their space. So if card applications had an issue, one of their specialists used to work on it and solve it for them. But then they didn't have a vision of how this can be applicable to bank. How can this be applicable to FS? And that's what the foundation team helps us, is as a consultant. Yes, you go ahead, you solve your problem, but take out the hat of saying, I'm a card specialist, I'll do it for card. Say, I am a support specialist, and this solution should be applied to any lines of business or any application within Capital One. And that is the kind of mindset and consulting and guidance that the foundation team provides. So that was a bit challenging, is to get that kind of resource and the mindset. And that's what we spent the time, is to build that resources and build that foundation team. While partnering with the prod teams, pods, and to bring the program team. It was easy to get because there was a lot of that, easy to find that specialist from each pod, but then who can be that consultant and who can be is one of the challenges that we had in building the foundation team.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
That was a good question. I know that when we started talking about this program way back, we initially started with the gaps. We started with, okay, what we are doing today, what are the gaps? And what are we trying to solve? Yes, scalability, yes, but there are other things that come along with scalability. So once we identified those gaps, it organically fit into, okay, we have the skill sets over here in pod project team. So we do want to leverage them. We don't want to kind of, leave them hanging, because this can be done with program team and foundation team. A foundation team is, we have multiple resources in there. Say if today we had like 50 resources in a foundation team to build out these solutions, then the program and foundation team could work. But what we lose out in that case is the day-to-day activity that's happening in the pod project, the issues that they're facing, the ideas that they come up with, that this is what they're on the ground, they're working on it, they're working on these manual tasks, they're working on the operation space. So they have the domain and the business knowledge of what's happening. Foundation team has the skill set and technology knowledge that they bring in. The program team sets the direction that, okay, this is what we should be focused on with the blast radius of the solution that we are seeing. So it's a combination of skills that each of these teams get together. And the only way this was possible was to kind of pull in people from all of these different areas and talk about the gaps. Visualize that process, visualize that, okay, what's happening today, see the gaps, and then fill in those gaps with these things.
Yeah, so you started kind of with the big picture and the plan, and then realized you had to pull in the resources to make it and put it together to show it happen. And it's kind of like taking, unduplicating, what do they call it? Yeah, effort. Okay, thanks.
Deduplicating.
Yeah, that's exactly what we
process.
did. Yeah. Before this, and I've been with the talk for 5 years, and that is what was one of the biggest challenge, was the duplication. I mean, we all saw the problems, but we were solving it our own silo. Sometimes it could be the similar solution, but we were doing it separate. And so we thought we were different, whereas we weren't different, and we were trying to do. So this bringing this program and building this program brought everyone under the same umbrella. And by doing that, we were able to deduplicate the work and be more efficient in solving.
I think this is really cool. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just going to reiterate the synergies that we found by building this have been amazing. Frankly, it's kind of built the satisfaction, not just from our customers, but also from all of our associates, because now they have a place to talk about what they want to look forward to versus just the day-to-day work that they do. So that was it. Melissa, go ahead.
Actually, Kristen, did you have a question? Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I really appreciate the dashboard and the selling of this as it is kind of rolling out. Like, yes, it's worth it. This is the value. How often do you sort of revisit that? Or like once you've implemented and you've seen your 175 hours come down, does that sort of become irrelevant? You just like clear that out and move on to the next thing? Or is that a metric that you kind of continue to come back to of like, had we not done this versus where we are right now, this is what the gap would have been?
We are continuously collecting those metrics. We don't stop collecting them, because once an automation is in place, we want to kind of make sure that we're collecting it if we had not done it. Because think about it, this is one piece that we are talking about. There may be solutions that we put into place that 6 months down the line, 12 months down the line, you'll be like, what happened? What was the impact that happened with the solution that you put into place? You can go back and refer to it, that over the course of this year, we had these many. And it's if you think about bank business or you think about financial services, things kind of change based on month to month. So you want to talk about every month is going to be a little bit different than the previous month, depending on what's happening. So you want to collect that data. That is the data we can use for future. One of the things that we have learned, and we are a database company. I'm gonna, this is very clear because we use data to make a lot of our decisions. So if we don't collect the data, it's lost. We can't use that to gain insights into it. So we are still collecting, and we will improve it. I'm sure there would come a time where we don't need to use it anymore, because the impact that it can have is already been realized. At that point, we're going to clear it out for that particular solution, not for everything else, and then move on to the next one.
Yeah. And so on the dashboard, the way we have it, it's not just the number always, but you can play around with it. What is the savings for today? What are the savings for the month, for the year long? So you can drill down as much as you want to. So it's like a number that shows based on the filters that you set up. So it's very intuitive and interactive dashboard that allows you to drill down to the details. You may be talking about the whole savings as a team, as a whole program together, or talk about the savings for a particular solution. And like Prerna said, if that solution becomes irrelevant, like the process behind that solution is no longer relevant, is not required anymore, or it's not having that same impact that it had before, then yes, we can just take away that particular solution savings from the numbers. But that's how we work it out, is that it's categorized enough, it's decoupled that way. If tomorrow something has to be eliminated, we can easily do that from the dashboard.
Awesome. I wanted to quickly to like brag on you guys, because I think from my perspective, as I guess I would be like a customer in y'all's case, because my application, or not mine, but like our application that we support relies so heavily on talk support. So we really, really need folks that can help connect us to the right people if there's an incident. And it's really cool, I think, based on this program that you guys have put together, it seems like it almost has like a multiplier effect, right? Like if you guys get more resilient, ultimately that like bubbles all the way down the line to our teams, like even though we're like, you know, pretty far removed from you guys. And so it's really cool to see how like it actually affects so many or impacts so many different teams based on the cool things you guys are doing just like locally on yours. So I think it's really awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. And that is exactly one of the things that we wanted to achieve by doing this. As we said, we aspire to make capital reliant. So this is one of the things we want to make sure that we are doing to have that happen.
That's awesome. Well, thank you both so much for coming tonight. Are there any final questions for our speakers tonight? Anything else? Awesome. All righty. Well, we finished right on time at 7. So thank you again so much. That was awesome. I feel like I learned a ton from you guys. And thank you everybody for your questions and engagement. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.